Welcome again everybody to another one of my how-to videos. This time it's how to remove bodies from die-cast cars. So what I've tended to do on my channel at the moment is skip over this process quite quickly, but I'm doing this how-to video now just so as a bit of a quick reference for people who want a bit more in-depth knowledge of removing these bodies from the castings. Now, often they're referred to as rivets. They're not actually rivets, they're a post which is smacked down on an anvil and bent back on itself to give the impression of a rivet. But what I tend to do on this type, because there are two different types, is use the hole that's already there as the pilot hole to drill down the centre of the post for when I do the tapping later on. Then afterwards use a larger drill bit like I'm doing here just to remove the head off it. Now the other type, it's a flatter head rivet. Again, I'll refer to it as a rivet. But what you need to do is give something for the drill bit to be guided on. So again, smack down on it with a hole punch to make a little indent for it to be guided down on. And so for that you will need some of these other tools which I'll come on to later on. But for now, the basic set that you'll need is a 1.5mm drill bit for doing down the centre of the post. Then a range of other drill bits. Anything from 2.5mm right up to 5, to be honest. I've used all different types depending on the model you're trying to remove the head from. An M2 tap to create the thread down the centre of the post, and something to hold that tap in. I use a T-piece handle because of different size ones that I use for other jobs, but I have seen people with screwdriver type holders to put the tap in. Obviously the M2 screws to put it all back together again, and I use normally 5mm long ones, but there's different types of heads. There's a Phillips head one like this, my preferred type which is the button head type, which you use an Allen key for, and then the flathead type like this. And 99% of the time I use a washer as well, just to put it all back together again. And then obviously the different types of screwdrivers or Allen key that you'll need to screw it all back together again. And that's really all there is for a basic set. Obviously for drilling, some people like to use a hand drill. I prefer the other method of using a pillar drill just because it's safer. And then obviously something to hold it in, a vise or a work holder like this. And I'll put in just a rag just to stop it scratching at this stage, and it will rock around. So what I'll do is rest it on the bonnet or the boot, something flat surface against the post, so it's not going to rock around when I come down to drill on it. And then start the first drilling process, and I'll use the 1.5 drill bit to go down a little way down the centre of the post. I don't know how far it's going to go down, but I'll start whilst I've got it at this stage at the moment, just to begin the pilot hole later on for the tapping process. And once you've done it front and rear, it's a quick matter of swapping out the drill bit and making use of the larger ones. And again, it all depends on what size is already on the car. It varies wildly depending on the model. And for this one I'm using a 3.5mm drill bit, and then I'll just gingerly go back and forth just to take the head off. So at this stage normally you can end up making a bit of a mess of it if you're not too careful. So once you've done them front and rear, you can simply take it apart. You may want to make a bit of a better job of the posts if you want to straighten them up, even them up, but you've already got the bit of an indent there. Now just do the final hole ready for the tap process, and I'll I know how far I can go down now at this stage, and I'll just put a backstop on so I don't go too far past. Done that previously and gone all the way through, so it's better to be safe than sorry. Then literally now go all the way down, keep going back and forth just so it's not generating too much heat, and snap the drill bits because they're only very fine. Now when it comes to doing the tapping, I prefer, when it's always best practice anyway, so it's not that I prefer, it is best practice, just to put a little bit of oil in there to help when you're doing your first cuts and obviously subsequent cuts later on. And it is best to, and keep backing it off, but something as soft as this material, you can twist it round one revolution and then just keep backing it off. And again, I'm doing this in real time, and it takes literally under a minute, but by going down slightly and then backing it off, just keep wiping away at the taper and you'll start to see metal come off. Not so much there on the first because I'm going a little bit gingerly on the first few cuts, but now as I start to use a little bit more pressure and I can feel it bite in a little more, you'll see now when I take it away what I mean by keep cleaning it, because you can see in there all the little bits of swarf that starts to come away. And again, do this 3-4 times, don't go down too deep. I think 5mm screws is all that I use. It's plenty enough for most jobs anyway, and it's simply that straightforward. Always helps with a bit of oil though. I'll just do a quick trial fit, and I do it this way round for no other reason that if you go too far down the route when you're doing these custom jobs and you make a hash of this at the end, then you've wasted all your time customizing it. So I always do the tapping at this stage of the process. So do what you got to do your customizing, do your wheel swaps, whatever floats your boat, and put it back together again. Get your preferred screw and washer, put it all back together again. It's as simple and straightforward as that. Invested in a good set of these little tools will pay dividends and last you a long time. This tap and die set that I've got to have had it for at least 20 years, something like that. Used it on a whole matter of jobs. It's just coming in very handy nowadays doing all these little restoration jobs, and there you have it. Now for the second type, all very much the same, but to start with you just need to make that hole at the start, and all you're going to do is use a hole punch and a hammer, or you can get the little automatic dot punches, but they tend to bounce quite a lot and they're quite hard for something as small as this, and a couple of little like taps on it. You'll start to make an indent, which is a perfect guide for the drill bit when you come to do the pilot hole. And all you simply do is repeat the process as what I've just showed you for drilling and tapping. So that's it. Thank you very much for watching and all these how-to videos. I'll get cracking on another custom. Until next time, thanks for watching.